Good morning. How are you today? Well, it's chilly out today, but the sun is out, and I'm hoping that'll cut into the my walk. The Washington Post had an op-ed today by two people that I highly respect. One is Nancy Gertner, and the other is Lawrence Tribe. Nancy Gertner was a very active criminal defense lawyer in the Boston area. She was active in a group I was with, the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, NACDL. And you probably know Tribe as a great Harvard lawyer who has been both professorial and engaged in the issues of our time. And both he and Nancy Gertner served on the commission on the Supreme Court. And while they decided to release their commission report to the president, they're strongly of the view that what we should be doing with the Supreme Court is to expand it. And they have three reasons for that. One is how at least 3 justices were appointed. Another is the stench that Sotomayor referred to that has compromised the trust of the institution. And then the anti-democratic decisions that we've seen of late. This is, well, they don't say crippled, but they've certainly, these factors have certainly compromised the court as a legal organism. The theory being that the court is above politics in a sense. It's a steady hand following earlier decisions and incrementally respecting changes that require the application of old law to new situations. Very difficult process, comes with us, to us from the common law from England and before that. So I heartily agree with that, and those of us who think we should be expanding the court think that what we need are 3 to cover the irrational, politically transactional appointments of Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett. And then 1 extra so that it's an odd number on the court. So that's the solution. No, that's the solution. That's the solution for that. How do we achieve that solution? The way we achieve that solution is we have to win the midterms. We have to strengthen ourselves politically because this has become a numbers game. This has become about power. We also have to energize our fight, not just about the Supreme Court, which is the emblem of what's wrong with America in terms of the departments no longer serving the purposes that they were conceived of when the Constitution was signed in 1787. In terms of American tragedies, we had these twisters in our country, Kentucky and Kansas and places like that. 6 states were affected. And what happened? What we had destruction and death as a result of a change in the weather. And the change in the weather was the unprecedented twisters, tornadoes, that happened across this vast expanse of states. It was 250 miles across. It was traveling at 70 miles an hour. It crushed buildings in places with people in them. And one can ask, how does this have any connection to our concerns about global warming? I think what we'll find in the days ahead, that the conditions of our global warming have made possible these tornadoes at a time when they don't normally happen and haven't happened in a very long time, and as severe as they happened. What we had strong warm water currents coming up from the equator and polar air coming from the north to the south, and the collision created small storms, and then they transmigrated into these tornadoes that did all of the destruction they did. Now, I'm sure there'll be people on the congressional floor from the Republican side saying, it's got nothing to do with the environment. These people will kill us. These are the same people that are telling us not to use vaccines. So keep that in mind. Finally, in another dangerous situation in which we have further evidence of what we all believe, which is that Trump and his trumpeteers, his cohorts, his subalterns, his lackeys, bonded together to follow the advice of Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani, the night that Trump lost the presidential election last November, said, "Just say we won." Just say we won. And from that day going forward, they did everything they could to compromise the ascendancy of the rightfully elected Biden to the presidency. And they created a PowerPoint of all things. You got to give it to criminals, right? You don't catch the geniuses. But sometimes they get away with this in plain view, and in a way they are now. But this PowerPoint detailed all sorts of lies they would tell to convince people that the election was a fraud. But they convinced no one. But the document persists and exists. And I think maybe I'll talk about it in some detail in my podcast today. I haven't decided yet, but I think that would be an important thing to do. Because combined with the short interview I had with Ari about two other gangsters, if you will, Bannon and Gates, we have the situation in which these two guys are openly talking about putting together troops to take over the government in 2024, if not sooner. And so now we have, as a result of documents submitted to the Select Committee on the January 6th insurrection, we have this PowerPoint. Now, there are different variations of it, and I posted the one that I found on Twitter if you're looking to read it yourself. And what I hope to do is to take it apart a little bit and talk about the three alternatives by which they thought they could take over the government from Biden, the methods they were going to use in terms of false propaganda and lies to make it possible for people to believe they're fraud on the nation. I think these are violations of criminal code, specifically seditious conspiracy. And that's one which basically says two or more persons basically try to overthrow the government. And who should be doing this? The Department, so-called, of Justice. I want to give credit to the Select Committee for gathering 300 witnesses and information and prompting people to give them information, further details that we didn't have, that we knew were true all along. And here we are, it's December, this happened in January. This delay is not acceptable. And every day we delay, we put our government at risk. So, here I am in my cathedral of trees, and it's a beautiful day, and I hope you get a chance to get out yourself. All the best. Bye-bye.